why can't we criticize the Phillies after 3 games and still realize it's a long season? I think we could do both. I think we're going to try to do both today. We're going to talk Sixers as well. Trending in the AM on its new home starts in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You know the drill. As always, like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. We greatly appreciate that. If you want to get interactive with the show, make sure you do me that favor. Hit the like and the subscribe button on the YouTube page. Turn notifications on. The best place to get interactive with the show is on the YouTube page or Facebook. You drop your comments, thoughts, concerns, questions, anything you want to talk about, we'll get them in there. To introduce myself to the new people that aren't used to me, I've been hosting Trend in the AM for about 18 months now on a different network. I'm very, very excited to join Liam and the team here at Philadelphia Sports Network. What you get with this show is the most interactive podcast there is. The only way we survive and thrive on Trending in the AM is with your questions, your comments, your thoughts, and every single one of them will be addressed as I can because that's what I want to do. I want to give everybody else a platform to have, their opinions heard. There's too many podcasts or shows out there that nobody cares about the listeners' opinions. I do. I want to get interactive with you. That's the only way this works. Good morning, Steve. Welcome to the show. Welcome. I appreciate it. We're going to talk Phillies a lot today, Steve. Cole, new threads. Yes. That is right. It's like a new car smell here. But I got a little Marvel Easter egg. Like my shirt. I'm wearing a shirt called The Deep End. And I'm about to jump off the deep end with this Phillies team. That's just what I'm ready to do. And I think, let's get right into it. I think it's very possible for us to have a conversation critical of this Phillies team and how bad they started. How flat they came out for the first 3 games this weekend, opening weekend, and still realize it's a long 162-game season. What I think is hilarious is that so many people were, if I make a simple post like this stinks or this was a bad decision or this or that about the Phillies on opening weekend, everyone just keeps responding with, oh, well, it's a long season. Well, after game 1, where they gave up 11 runs, lost 11-7. Aaron Nola got completely smoked. Well, there's 161 games left. Okay, that's fine. Then in game 2, they come out and get completely smoked. That puts them at, guess what? 161 games or 160 games left. Okay, that's fine. Then last night, game 3, they lose again. Well, I was critical there. Well, there's 159 games left. Look, I get that. Good morning, Adam. Welcome, to you. I'm glad you found us over here on the new network. Look, it is okay to be critical of this Phillies team while at the same time realizing it's a long season. Yeah, everybody thought it was going to be sunshine and rainbows, except for one person, Cole. This guy did not think it was going to be sunshine and rainbows, and you know that. I predicted 187 and whatever that is, 87 wins. I told y'all this was not going to be a simple, just smooth sailing right to another World Series title, Cole. And people just instantly assumed just adding Trea Turner, everything was going to be fine. The problem is adding Trea Turner and without Bryce Harper, with losing Rhys Hoskins, does not just make everything fine. We lost this weekend a combined 29-11 in 3 games. We are getting hit with a hurricane. Well, the hurricane was the Texas Rangers offense. That's for sure. I mean, we got to be realistic about this team. A lot of questions that I brought up when I was on my previous network, literally all of them were answered to an extent this weekend with opening day. We have a better chance of going to the World Series and win the division. Yeah, absolutely. But see, the thing is, Cole, last year, this is what I want to start with. Well, Steve, there is a damn good chance we are going up against the Yankees now, starting tonight. You got Matt Strahm going in game 2 of that series. Matt Strahm was brought in here to be a lefty, middle of the bullpen kind of mid-innings kind of reliever, and he's starting your game 5 for you. And then you got Aaron Nola. You got to hope bounces back from his first game. All that happened. Look. I want to be really upfront here with the new listeners of this show. I've never been a huge Rob Thomson fan. He caught lightning in a bottle last year. It was almost impossible for him not to turn it around because Joe Girardi was doing so poorly as the manager of this team. He comes in, lightning in a bottle, turns things around. We go on a magical run. That's what last year was, a magical run. And I questioned, should he instantly be the manager this year? Should they have interviewed other candidates? And I got crushed. I do not hate. Hate is a strong word, Cole. Hate. I don't hate anybody in life. I don't hate you. I don't hate you when you call me old. I don't hate. But you got to understand, Rob Thomson has never been. Rob Thomson is welcome in my pizza shop anytime he wants. If they win any games by the opener, the fans will be. Dude, Adam, I tweeted that out this weekend. If there is any way that the Phillies are 0-6 at the start of this, when they get home, oh my God, I want to know what those. I might actually be able to afford to go to opening day. We do need to give him a chance. And look, and Steve, I'm not saying that Rob Thomson is a bad manager, and I'm not saying this Phillies team is all of a sudden going to miss the playoffs. But what I said leading up to the start of the season multiple times was Rob Thomson has never been in the big chair before. He has been an assistant. He's been an assistant and was almost ready to retire. Almost ready to retire. And then he took over the interim job, and that kind of extended his life a little bit. Like, this guy's never been there. And you see this weekend, my biggest fear of this Phillies team was coming out slow because they were unprepared, because Rob Thomson did not know how to run a team from the big chair through spring training. The Trea Turner Harrison pop-up was a disaster. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to be critical of specific lineup changes and stuff, but the fact that yesterday's game you already switched it up to Josh Harrison and Christian Pache or Pache, you'll learn I don't pronounce names well on the show. There was no need in game 3. You already scored 7 in one, 3 in the other. You did not need to flip it around just because you had a lefty and Martin Perez on the mound for the Rangers. There was no reason for Pache to be in there. You could have even gone with Derek Hall at first base. These guys that can't hit left-handers can't figure it out if they're not given that chance to. The communication between Turner and Harrison, you know where communication comes from? It comes from spring training. And guess what? Everything that I saw this weekend was proof in the pudding that Rob Thomson did not have this team ready to go. Game 1, 11-7 loss. Aaron Nola just did not have. He got smoked there. He got left in a little too long. That's Topper. You want to call him that? Philly Rob, whatever you want to call him. Just hanging on a little too long with Aaron Nola. Offense was there. Hitting wasn't. Then the bullpen comes in that game. Gregory Soto gets completely demolished. And I still don't want to hear the people saying we should have kept Nick Maton or what was the other kid's name? Nick Maton and Matt Vierling, because they stink too. But he gets rocked, Soto. And then Soto's Connor Brogdon, my sleeper. Okay? And then the rest of the bullpen settles it down. The Phillies just can't get the job done from there. And then in game 2, Zach Wheeler. Where do I start with Zach? Did Zach Wheeler, I think I saw him hit 97 one time. Maybe? I think it was just one time that he hit 97 on the speed gun there. But he gets rocked. And there, he got left in a little too soon. It's funny. I had a same game parlay on that Phillies game too. And I saw him get his 6th strikeout at the end of the 4th inning. I'm like, good. And part of my parlay was 6 or more strikeouts from Wheeler. I'm like, good. He got it because he's not coming back out for the 5th. Then he comes back out for the 5th, and then the wheels fall off the bus even more in the 5th inning. They get smoked. And guys, anybody saying not overreact to this Phillies start to the season? Do you realize that we are 3 games into the season, and after game 2, we had 2 pitchers with infinity ERAs. We had a position player already pitching in Josh Harrison, pitched the 9th inning, and we had a game 2 where we were able to bench all our starters because it was basically mercy ruled at that point. You can't tell me it's not okay to overreact when that's what happened in your first weekend. And Freddie, it's see, now there's a difference. You don't need to panic. What you need to do is realize, yes, it's a long season. I know that's what everybody wants to respond with. But what you also got to remember is that you could still learn something about this team from day one. It's not panicking. It's criticizing. And we can criticize that this team was ill-prepared for game 1 of the season. I would have preferred a win this weekend. Nola was very disappointing. Soto made up for it, with last night. He did pitch well last night. Yes, I agree. And Turner is let me tell you something. First and foremost, Mark, you're spot on with that point right there. Trea Turner is 1,000% the real deal. 27 to 29 runs came in the first 2 games. Falter held his own. I want to get to Falter. I think Falter should have been left in longer last night. It didn't backfire last night, but I think Bailey Falter could have finished that 6th inning. But back to Mark's comment, Trea Turner. Trea Turner absolutely is the real deal. But the problem is, Mark, Trea Turner is supposed to be an addition to this team, to take this team from where they were last year to the promised land, to the next level, to winning a division or winning the World Series. Problem is now, Trea Turner is the guy that has to fill the void of Bryce Harper not being in there and Rhys Hoskins. Everyone crushed me when I said don't trade Rhys Hoskins. Everybody crushed me when I said Rhys Hoskins was important. Everybody crushed me when I said when he got injured it was going to be a huge, huge loss. Well, Rhys Hoskins not being in that lineup is a huge loss. And you look at the lineups they ran out there in game 2 and 3 and, even game 1. You throw Rhys Hoskins in there, all of a sudden everything changes. I'm looking at game 2's lineup. Turner, Schwarber, Realmuto, Hall in the 4-hole, Castellanos in the 5-hole, Stott, Bohm, Cave, Marsh. That's not a World Series lineup. When you got Jake Cave and in your lineup in Derek Hall, that's not a World Series lineup. When you got Josh Harrison and Sosa and Pash starting, yeah, Schwarber finally got hit. Man, tell me you didn't think that was a home run yesterday when he hit that one out to deep center. I'm like, look at that. There we go. We're going to get off the snide there for Kyle Schwarber. But, yeah, he got a hit. That's good. Schwarber's always a slow starter. It's not like Schwarber was lighting it up in the World Baseball Classic. I think he hit like right around 190, 200 there. What's he? I could pull up his slugging numbers if you want me to. Yeah, he's great. The problem is Schwarber is a slow starter. That's the problem. If Schwarber could get hot early, that would make things better. Yes, the Jake Cave experiment. God damn. There's a reason why he's a 210 career hitter in baseball. There is. I don't know what I'm calling him. I don't even know. I don't even know what. I forget his name half the time. 5 feet deeper. I think it could have been 2 inches higher, and it would have been a home run. That ball by Schwarber. But then after all that yesterday, game 1 and 2, yesterday we start Josh Harrison. We start Pache or Pache. I don't even want to know I don't even want to know how to say Christian Pache's name because I don't want to know. Sosa started last night. Now, Sosa, on the other hand, the kid can hit. See, and the Pache-Sosa situation, I think, is very similar, but being handled differently. When we traded for Sosa, we traded for a defensive specialist that couldn't hit, and he needed to work with Kevin Long to turn his hitting around. And he's turned his hitting around. Late in the season last year after he got here, in the playoffs, it started to show its positivity and stuff like that. And then come this year, Sosa looks like a different player. I said it, bold prediction. He will start over 100 games this year because he's going to fight his way into that lineup. Now, Pache has been here literally for a cup of coffee, literally less than a week with the Phillies organization. Kevin Long hasn't had time to fix his swing yet. So there's no reason for him to struggle or be starting because it was a complete and total overmatched struggle for him last night. You look at it, like the broadcasters last night said, the Phillies are really struggling with runners in scoring position this year already. Well, I feel like we've been talking about that for a decade now. The Phillies struggling with runners in scoring position. Seems like the same thing every year. But then you get last night, I think his first 3 at-bats, Pache, last night, had runners in scoring position, and he couldn't get anybody home, and he looked so overmatched. No reason for Brandon Marsh. You did not trade the top catching prospect in Logan O'Hoppe for a platoon center fielder. The only way Brandon Marsh could figure it out against lefties is if he plays. It's the only way. He should be in the lineup every single day. If you want a platoon dark call, all right, whatever. He's not a major investment, but you invested in Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh should be starting every single night. So again, another mistake by Topper. Why was Josh Harrison in the starting lineup last night? Did you need Josh Harrison in that lineup last night? 8 stranded runners. I'm guessing you're talking about Pache. Yeah, no reason. I know you have to have him on the big club because he doesn't have any options left to go to the minors. But, if you want to trade for a high upside guy, maybe Dombrowski shouldn't have traded for somebody you can't send to the minors to work. Or if anything, he should only come in the 9th inning for defensive purposes. There is no point in having him in your starting lineup in the first 3 games of the season when there's no more. It's not like somebody got hurt and he had to start. There's no reason for it. None at all. And I really was going to try to be calm today, but I am literally going to jump off the deep end because this is not what we wanted from this Phillies team. This is not what we expected. Look, I knew there'd be struggles to start this season, but this is not what I want to see from my team. Rob Thomson last year, he made a lot of questionable calls, but all his questionable decisions seemed to work out. And I said that the law of averages was that was going to balance out at some point. It was. He wasn't going to get every single move right all year long again. But guess what? That's the way it's already starting out this year. He's not getting the calls right again. It didn't work out so far. Look, your pitchers weren't ready to start the season. Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. Bailey Falter was. I don't know what to expect tonight when we go up against the Yankees. What are we going to get from Taijuan Walker? Look, it's not like these pitchers were pitching great in spring training and then pitched bad last night and had just one bad game. These pitchers pitched bad in spring training too. And it's just followed through. Look, again, it's a long season. And I see a lot of new people jumping in here, watching. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you don't miss it. Training the AM is live every single morning, 8:30 a.m., right here on PSN. This team, ill-prepared. And a slow start, you can't lose the division. You cannot lose the right to get to the playoffs in April. But you could set the tone early. And the tone has been set early. And now, look, this team is going to press against the Yankees. This team knows they can't be 0-6 or 1-5 when they get back to Philly. Was it Thursday night for the home opener? They know that. They're going to press hard. Game 6 against the Yankees, Aaron Nola's next start. He's got a big contract looming over his head. And I said, would that affect him at all? I don't think that affected him game 1. But now every time he pitches poorly, guess what? Aaron Nola in the back of his head is going to be like, damn, there's another couple million off my contract that I want to sign. And that's going to be a lot of pressure for him. Can he handle it? This is all coming back on Rob Thomson getting his team prepared and knowing how to manage a team. I think the lineup pretty much, even though you're missing Rhys Hoskins and Bryce Harper, I think the lineup writes itself. And there should literally be zero adjustments. Zero adjustments of that lineup. That lineup should be the same every single night for the first week or two of the season. There's no need for days off for anybody at this point of the season. And you're already mixing and matching and bumping and up and down and this and that. I don't want to hear it. I don't. Now, there were some positives this weekend. There really were. First and foremost, let's give a round of applause for Andrew Bellotti, the workhorse of the bullpen. 3 outings in 3 days, pitched really well. I don't think he gave up a run. I think he gave up 1 or 2 base runners. Said it last year that he was low-key a really, really important piece of the bullpen. So it's really bad. The first round of applause from this weekend has to go to Andrew Bellotti, a low-end level reliever. Let's give a round of applause to Trea Turner. Obviously, we already talked about it. The dude is 110% the real deal. I mean, let's see his numbers so far this weekend. He hit 385 this weekend. He went 5 of 13, a double, a triple. I think he had a steal or two mixed in there as well. Only one strikeout, drove in a run. Guy's just on base nonstop. Andrew Bellotti, an Italian-American icon. Abso-freaking-lutely. I love it. I love it. Mark, you love your Italian-American, your heroes there. You're very proud of that Italian-American. Where would I fall? Would I fall on your Rick Pitino list of Italian-Americans? Or would I fall on your Andrew Bellotti list of Italian-Americans? That's what you'll have to answer that Friday when you're on the show. He did end the season very well. So that was round one. Round of applause 2, Trea Turner, the real deal, no doubt about it. Round of applause 3 has to go to Alec Bohm. I mean, Alec Bohm, again, he performed pretty well this weekend. He had a home run, drove in some runs this weekend. Alec Bohm played third, he played first, he bounced, and I'm still against that whole bouncing him around. Trust me, I'm not a fan of that. He had a double home run, 4 of 11 this weekend. It's pretty solid. Pretty solid start for Alec Bohm. We really want to – there's a lot of expectations for Alec Bohm to hit 300. There's a lot of expectations for Alec Bohm to hit 25, 30 home runs. He started it out pretty well. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to backfire at some point. He did make an error there. Was it game 2 on Saturday night, I think it was? He did have one error in the field at third base. Alec Bohm is a guy, in my opinion, that you can really screw with really badly if you keep bouncing him around third, first, DHing him, whatever. You just need to put him out there and let him stay in one position the entire game, or the entire season. You don't want to we've already seen it in the past with Alec Bohm that he does have a mental domino effect kind of thing where one thing can snowball to another, that can snowball to another. I find it very shameful this season that the national – dude, there's 300 baseball teams? There's only 3 of them that lost all their games opening weekend, and the Phillies are one of them. Detroit and Kansas City. That's it. That's how bad it is. Every other team lost game or won games this weekend, except for the Phillies, Royals, and Tigers. That's pathetic. Pathetic. That's not what you want to see after your first weekend of games. You don't want to see that. You don't want to be looking up in the standings right from the get-go. You just don't. But there were, like I said, there were some positives. So, look, that's what I'm trying to explain here today. That it's okay to be extremely critical, to be extremely pissed off, extremely mad at what happened. But what's not okay is to say it's okay that all that happened because there's another now 159 games to go. They'll figure it out. That's fine. But you can still draw the parallels, the lines. I still say this team's going to need – Dave Dombrowski's going to have to be busy with this team. Just think about this pitching, these pitching issues. If Nola can't get to even remotely good form this year, you got a problem. If Zach Wheeler's lost velocity, I don't know if it's Zach Wheeler just hasn't built up the arm strength yet. But remember, Zach Wheeler was struggling with tired arm towards the end of last season. He missed a couple weeks towards the end of the season. He wasn't himself in the playoffs. That's a big problem. Ranger Suarez already going to miss starts. That's a problem. Andrew Painter, some people want him to start the season on the team. He's not. We might not see him this year. You got Matt Strahm starting a game. Matt Strahm is not a starting pitcher. He tried to be a starting pitcher years ago when he first got called up. Stunk at it. What's Zach Eflin doing these days? I know he got signed somewhere else. But still, this team's going to have some serious starting pitching issues. Now, the bullpen, I think, figures itself out. I know they struggled this weekend a lot. I know Soto struggled in his first outing, pitched well yesterday. I know who else had the infinity ERA? Someone else had an infinity ERA. Was it Dominguez? Oh, he pitched poorly. Kimbrel looked okay. Alvarado looked okay. The bullpen will figure itself out. The problem's going to come. Will these bullpen guys have a regular set, usage kind of thing once we start winning games? Will it always be X player in the ninth, or are we going to continue just bouncing everybody around? I'm not a fan of that. Bullpen guys have something loose up in their head. That's why they're bullpen guys. And they like to be called upon in certain situations only. We'll see. But this bullpen was supposed to be 10 times better. It's similar. We're going to get to the Sixers in a few minutes, but it's similar to the Sixers, whereas this year we thought we had this much improved bench. We've always had a bad bench, and it was supposed to be much better this year, and the bench still stinks this year. We always have a bad bullpen with the Phillies. And it was supposed to be much better this year. And the bullpen outside of last night stunk. Can somebody get Connor Brogdon a cheeseburger or something? That boy is skinny as hell. That boy needs to put on a couple LBs. But he had one good outing, one bad outing, whatever, with Connor Brogdon. Can we talk about for a second the ESPN broadcast from last night? And I don't know if anybody liked it or didn't like it. First and foremost, interviewing Trea Turner, middle of the game, while he's in the field at shortstop, a hot spot there. Bullpen definitely needs to find roles. And a creature, absolutely, 100%. And you're going to see it. That's why, Mark, I still said that Craig Kimbrell, you can, yeah, that's Penelope barking, not Al. That's who's barking. Man, that's bad that you can hear. Hey, stop barking in there. Yeah. Hey, stop that. Oh, no, it didn't stop, really. Definitely creatures of habit. Definitely need to find roles. 100%. But this broadcast last night, ESPN, first and foremost, the in-dugout interviews or the coaches' interviews on the sidelines and NBA games during timeouts, they suck. The players, the coaches hate them. But when you got a guy playing shortstop, this isn't like a left fielder who might not see the ball. You're at shortstop. And you got all these right-handed hitters up. And you got this guy talking to broadcasters with an ear and trying to field ground balls at the same time. Lucky he made the play. Lucky Trea Turner is one of the best players in baseball and was able to manage that situation. Let me tell you something. If I was Trea Turner, I'd be like, I ain't freaking doing this ever again. There's no way the players like doing that. And the fact that ESPN and these broadcast companies probably work it into their TV deals, they pay baseball and football and all these sports so much money. Next thing you know, you're going to have Jalen Hurts talking to reporters as he's trying to read a defense. Like, where does the level, where does it stop? Where do the players in sports draw a line that they don't want to be doing this? Like, I really don't know. And it can't be good. And the players can't like it. I mean, later in the game, Bryce Harper was talking from the dugout. He's on the injured list. And, you know, he didn't want to do that. You could tell he wasn't interested in having that conversation with the broadcast crew in the middle of the game. But at least he was just a player that wasn't playing. You know, putting the earpiece in Trea Turner while he's trying to field shortstop was completely insane and stupid and could risk. I mean, it didn't backfire. It didn't change the outcome of anything. But still, it's awful. It's stupid. And honestly, I don't want to hear it. I some people think it's cool to hear what the players are thinking and talking about. I don't want to hear it. I don't. We heard it with Kyle Schwarber. I think it was during the playoffs last year, but he's in left field. You know, he's standing out there and you might go, wow, shortstop, you're not doing a shortstop. You're just not. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But then Bryce Harper in the dugout talking, and you clearly, clear as day, tell, first and foremost, he is not a fan of the pitch clock. And what's his exact quote? We need to take our game back or something like that. Yeah, when the announcers mentioned the pitch clock, you can tell, look, the games were overall shorter. I saw a stat that ESPN put up there during the game over the first weekend of the season compared to last year. It went from like 3 hours and like 4 minutes to 2 hours and 45 minutes, the average game time. Runs are up and the game time is down. That's what baseball wants. I get that. But the pitch clock still, it's going to throw things off. But Bryce Harper clearly does not like it. It was nice to hear him say we haven't seen him hitting we haven't seen him hitting at all, but he doesn't do much on-field hitting anyway. So it was mentioned by him that he is doing cage work, which means he is swinging a bat somewhat because we're going to need him back. When you look at this lineup that we've run out here the first couple of days, you put Bryce Harper in that DH spot. Yeah, it changes some things because then Schwarber's back in left field, but you know, it will help balance this lineup out drastically. So that was really good. So look, this first weekend, there was a lot of good. Well, a little good and a lot of bad. And I'm just here to preach. It's okay. It's okay to be critical. You look at tonight's game. Let me pull up tonight's game. I'm pretty sure the Yankees played pretty well this weekend. They went 2-1. Okay, I thought they were a little bit better. We got Nestor Cortez as their starting pitcher tonight, left-handed pitcher. It means we might see Pache again. Oh, I don't want to see Pache out there ever again. I don't. He's a career. Last year he went 2.44 ERA, Nestor Cortez, a 12.4 record, a .92 whip, 163 strikeouts. Kid's a good pitcher. And he's their fourth pitcher, and we got Taijuan Walker going tonight. Is this going to be the night that we turn things around? I don't think so. Let me look here. So they opened the season against the Giants. Why are the Yankees opening the season against the Giants? Actually, backtrack for a second. Why are the defending National League champions, the Philadelphia Phillies, starting the season on the road for 2 straight series? Who in baseball wrote that schedule? Because we already were joking, me and Adam earlier. You said it up here at the top of the screen somewhere. If the crowd's going to be dead on opening day at home. I mean, I think no matter what, even 0-6, the crowd shows up, the crowd gets excited. But how do your defending National League champions not play at home at all till 6 games through the season? That's terrible, terrible, terrible scheduling right there for the Philadelphia. You telling me that we would have, if it was still the Texas Rangers and everything was exactly the same, but we were at home, that we don't win one of those games? That the home energy, the home crowd, the defending champions, fans who, let's be honest, like the players carried the team. Reese Hoskins got hot, Bryce Harper, whatever. But that fan base in October carried this team. The energy helped push them over the top. You're telling me that the fan base wouldn't have gotten us at least one win this weekend? I'm pretty sure they would have. I'm really sure of it. I know it's weather. You see a lot of players or teams, cold weather city teams, start in the South because they don't want snow games. They don't want, all that stuff. I know that plays a part, but you know what? You got to take a chance. When you're defending NL champs, it's no different in football. The first game of the season, that first Thursday night game, it's always like the Super Bowl champion or the loser of the Super Bowl. One of the top 2 teams is always playing on opening night and at home. You want to put your best team. They got a national league game or national televised game. Look, the Yankees started at home. They're getting 6 straight games at home to start the season. The Giants and then the Phillies. They went 2-1. They had a 5-0. They had 2 shutouts, by the way, the Yankees. So their pitching is ready. Anybody that's saying, and I saw a lot of this on social media, that the excuse was that the pitchers aren't used to the pitch clock. The pitchers are, just not ready yet and, whatever. Let me tell you something. On opening day, the Phillies pitching got blown up. We lost 11-7. Do you realize on opening day, 5 teams were shut out? 14 teams scored 3 runs or less. So let me tell you something. 14 teams pitching staffs were ready to go on opening day. 14 teams pitching staffs were ready to handle the pitch clock. So I don't want to hear that it was the first game of the year and nobody, or first weekend of the year and nobody's ready. The Yankees got 2 shutouts already. Now they got Garrett Cole going in game 1. That helps to get a shutout. But I don't want to hear that. I don't. But anyway, the point of the scheduling was the Phillies not at home to start the season. The Yankees are, because we got to take care of the Yankees. But just the scheduling, the Yankees starting against the Giants. Like, I know this year the season's going to feel different with the way they adjusted. You're playing every team and you're playing your division opponents less. I'm not a fan of it. It's going to take out a lot of the who wants to see the Yankees play the Giants? Why isn't it Yankees Red Sox? Why isn't Yankees Toronto opening week? It should be all division games that first weekend. It should. Nobody cared. You tell me Phillies Texas was a great opening weekend matchup. We got smoked, but really it's Texas. I couldn't have named 10 guys on the Rangers before the first game started. Nobody wants to see that. The first game, something just popped in my head. We'll get back to the schedule and the Yankees in a second. You know what was the most frustrating thing about this weekend? Is the fact that we were able to jump all over Jacob deGrom in his first start in Texas. Jump all over him. What did we get, 5 runs against him on the first day? And still lose the game? Do you know how frustrating that is to go up against one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball when he is healthy? And you just you rock him. That Alec Bohm home run off him, smoked. And you can't capitalize on that? That really pissed me off. That wanted to send me over the deep end. I'm not advertising. I don't even know where this bar is. But yeah, I love this shirt. I don't know. Like, I just can't get over the fact that you were able to do that to Jacob deGrom, and you still lost that game by 4 runs. And you're telling me not to overreact? That's crazy. Scrap division play, create an even bounce schedule, and top 8 AL and make playoffs, shorten season. Well, the shorten the season, I heard about 3 or 4 people this weekend that came into the pizza shop that just want to talk to me about, sports in general. They're not big baseball fans, but they all said to me it's very hard for them to get excited in April when the season doesn't end until October. I don't know. Look, basically in basketball, they don't have they have divisions still, but the divisions are meaningless at this point. You play every team in the conference 4 times, in the Western Conference 2 times. Very balanced schedule. And it's fine. And it's going to take time to get used to it. But at least keep some form of rivalry. Like the Celtics rivalry at the Sixers or the Knicks. I mean, it's still there, but it doesn't mean as much if you played them a few more times. Do we really need to play every Western Conference team? Not really. Do we really need to play the Texas Rangers and the Los Angeles Angels? Well, the Angels, yes, because you want to beat up Mike Trout and you want to try to have a little chance to tamper and bring Showtime Ohtani here to Philly. But that's another whole subject for another day. But the lack of rivalries in baseball, if you're going to eliminate the rivalries to an extent by making these schedule changes, at least start the season with a rivalry game to kind of grab the fans. Do you think last night's Sunday night, the first Sunday night baseball game of the year, which used to be a big deal in my household, it didn't matter who was playing on Sunday night baseball, when it was Morgan and Joe Morgan and who was the other guy, the announcers that were there for a while. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, it didn't matter who was playing. I was watching that baseball game every Sunday night. Now it's like whatever. But then you get your first baseball game of the year on Sunday night baseball, primetime. Nothing else is going on. There was a Sixers-Bucks game last night on primetime as well, but that was it. And you got the Phillies playing the Rangers. You tell me that's going to draw the ratings battle in? No, John Miller. That's right. John Miller was the other guy. They were great, Miller and Morgan. That was right up there with like watching Pat Summerall and John Madden. Not to that level. I'm not saying they're as good, but they were a perfect pair. They complemented each other really well. Now the announcers nowadays, they're just like, they're all right. I tried to watch the A-Rod, chat cast, whatever, when Larry Bell was on it. It was okay. What's with all these casts? Every network now has a secondary network or secondary channel with gambling talk or, players sitting around. It's like they're trying to tap into there's so many YouTubers that will live stream games, but not actually show the game, just stare into the screen, watch the game off and talk about it with people watching. I think it's ESPN's way of trying to compete with that because they can actually show the game and just have people chumming it up and talking together, whatever. I really don't get into it. I want to watch the game. I don't want to hear 2 guys talking about what they did 20 years ago and whatnot. I just want 2 good analysts or a good play-by-play guy and a good analyst, play-by-play guy that knows when to talk, when not to talk, and an analyst that knows how to break things down objectively. That's all I want. And ESPN just doesn't have it right now. Miller and Morgan were great at it. They just don't have it right now. Anyway, back to tonight. You got the Yankees. I'm going to find it very hard for myself to think that the Phillies are plus 150 money line right now. The Yankees are minus 178. This Cortez guy is a great young pitcher. Taijuan Walker is your big free agent pitching signing, and I questioned it. Got crushed for questioning that too. It seems like whenever I question something, people think I overreact. I don't. I just bring up questions. That's all it is. I'm just questioning things. I'm just presenting an idea that is it the right move or not. And I question Taijuan Walker. There were other options out there. And Taijuan Walker, he's a really good pitcher. Always pitches well against the Phillies. Has an injury history. Also some history of being a very good pitcher at times. And you gave him a pretty big contract here. So I questioned it. But I also brought up that it was the backup plan to Aaron Nola. I got crushed for that too. We'll see how that all plays out. But you're telling me that after what we saw this weekend, you're excited to see the Phillies go up against the Yankees tonight in New York? I mean, the series just has disaster written all over it. I'm trying to pull up all the games and see who we're facing what night. So yeah, it's Walker Cortez tonight, Schramm versus German tomorrow, and then Nola versus Cole Wednesday during the day, 1:00 game. the old school business person special type game on Wednesday. And then obviously Thursday is the home opener against Cincinnati. Guys, there's a legit chance that we are 0-6 to start the season. Yeah, they weren't close on numbers. And let me tell you something. I made the joke after the second inning at the Nola of game one, saying that Nola would say, "Show me the money. Pay that man his money." You know, I'm trying to use my Rounders, accent from Malkovich. Pay that man his money. Check, check, check. All you do is check. Then he just got smoked. And every time he goes out there this year, we're going to be talking about him. Was the contract part of his issues? Or he pitches well, we're going to say he's trying to earn that money. I said it, Kyle, from the second that Taijuan Walker was signed to a 4-year contract. You could have gotten other pitchers for less than 4 years. Equally as effective, Jose Quintana was out there. There was a whole bunch of guys out there. Rodon, he got a 6-year deal, though. A lot of guys were out there. But you went 4 years for Taijuan Walker. He beat me straight up. That's right. The best movie in the world. My Russian accent is not very good. But you signed. I said it, Kyle, and you know it. You'll vouch for this. I said the day he was signed as an insurance policy if Aaron Nola walks in the offseason. Because, yes, you've got Andrew Painter, you got Abel, you got McGreary, all these young kids. And Painter's only one that, if he's healthy, is the only for sure, elite kind of pitching prospect. But you still need to fill out a rotation. Zach Wheeler next year will be on the end of his deal. Ranger Suarez, to me, I said it before the season started, and I'm going to tell you again. If Dave Dombrowski has the ability to bring in another starting pitcher, I think Ranger Suarez makes more appearances out of the bullpen than he does out of as a starting pitcher this year. I do. I think Ranger Suarez is going to struggle, and he's going to go back to the pen, and he's going to pitch well there. He's going to have health issues. All these guys pitched more innings than ever before last year. And it seems like Rob Thomson did not have a good game plan in training camp, in spring training. These guys still felt like they were in Clearwater. I mean, I would like to still be in Clearwater. I haven't been there in a long time, but I would love to stay in Clearwater. But baseball players have got a job to do, and they didn't come out of Clearwater. But Zach Wheeler, or Taijuan Walker, was brought in as an insurance policy. If Aaron Nola goes, then next year you go into the season with Wheeler, Walker, Painter, 1, 2, 3. Bailey Falter pitched really well last night. I told you guys. Bailey Falter is a much better pitcher than we give him credit for. He earned the right to be the number 5 guy this year. He did. I mean, he pitched out of the 3 spot in the rotation last night. Again, I think that's kind of questionable in my opinion. That decision didn't backfire, but I don't know why you would go Bailey Falter in game 3. I know that Rob Thomson said he wanted to split him and Strom up, in the rotation, so you didn't have 2 lefties going in a row. Look, Rob Thomson this whole week, that is overthinking things. Rob Thomson there. It's the first weekend of the year, and Rob Thomson is already overthought. That's it. Sorry. I haven't finished my first cup of coffee yet here. So some of the words aren't flowing right yet. I try to get 1 cup of coffee in, then do the show, and then have my second cup. I'm still on cup 1. He overthought things at least a half a dozen times. Josh Harrison starting, Pache starting, pulling Nola too late, pulling Wheeler too late, pulling Falter too soon. Like literally everything that went on this weekend was just overthinking things. And last year, Rob Thomson overthought things, and it just seemed to work out every time. Law of averages is going to play a factor this year. For sure. No doubt about it. All right, you know what? I want to spend some time on the Sixers, so we're just going to end it right here on the Phillies portion of this show. Again, tonight, Taijuan Walker, this Cortez kid, 7 o'clock against the Yankees, Phillies. Do they get their first win tonight? The odds say no. The money line says no. So that means they're going to win, right? Yeah, maybe. I'm really going to be curious. I'm really paying attention to 2 things tonight. We got a lefty. Cortez is a lefty for the Yankees. What will the lineup look like? Will he go back to what the lineup should be every single day and have Brandon Marsh in the lineup and Dirk Hall in the lineup? Should? Will he? I don't know. That's the first thing I'm going to look at whenever the lineup's released, 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon. And you damn well believe on Twitter, at Beard of Knowledge, I'm going to be commenting on that lineup as soon as I see it released. That's the first thing I'm going to look for. The second thing I'm going to look for tonight is Taijuan Walker. Is he going to live up to the deal? 4 years, almost $80 million. What was it, 77, 79 million, something like that? I'm going to want to see what Taijuan Walker is going to do tonight. There are the two things that I'm focused on. We're going to hit this year. We're going to get better this year. I'm not worried about those details. I am worried about Rob Thomson, this pitching staff, and how, man, if this team loses tonight, and then you got Matt Strom going tomorrow night, and then you go up against Garrett Cole on Wednesday. As Adam said in the beginning of the show, I'm going to put the comment up again, and I said it on Twitter. Man, what will that stadium be like if we're 0-6 come Thursday? I don't want to know. It better not happen. It better not. All right, we're going to transition here for a little bit here because, we got about 15, 20 minutes left in the show here. We might end up going overtime. I don't know. But I want to talk about the Sixers a little bit here. We're going to talk Philly, basically doing a show every single day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. But subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, whatever social media platform you're watching it on. But we'll be talking Phillies every day because the baseball season's long. We'll recap games and preview games every single day on this morning show. And tomorrow, we're going to talk a little Eagles tomorrow as well. We'll talk Phillies tomorrow, but we'll also talk Eagles. I got Brian Cameron, lead Eagles writer for PSN, coming on tomorrow. Talk a little Eagles offseason with him. But the Sixers last night, they lost to the Bucks 117-104. This is after on Friday night winning 117-110 against the Raptors. And we're getting close. I did not watch any of WrestleMania this weekend, Adam. I did not. I know what happened. I read it up, and we'll talk off the air about it. It actually played out a lot like I expected it to. Yeah, Doc Rivers said this was a scheduled loss. Basically, what did he say, Mark? Maybe you can remember. I saw it. I was falling asleep in bed during his post-game press conference. His post-game press conference lasted, 30 seconds and 3 questions? But what did he say? We stunk. I think his words were approximately something like, we just stunk tonight. It was basically another scheduled loss last night to the Bucks. I know the score looks close, a 13-point loss. But, dude, anybody that watched that game knows that we got completely – it was a much worse game than the 13-point loss. There was never a moment in last night's game for the Sixers-Bucks game that I actually thought the Sixers were going to win. Next year's WrestleMania is in Philly, Kyle. I will be going. I've never been to a WrestleMania. I want to go to WrestleMania. I will 100% be in Philly for WrestleMania. There's no doubt about it. It's a dream of mine to go to WrestleMania, and I don't have to fly to go there. Great. Lock it up. Yeah, Doc Rivers, well, Mark, you've been part of this show with me and watching the show and being on the show for a long time. I am not a Doc Rivers fan. Everybody thinks I hate Rob Thomson. I don't hate Rob Thomson. I don't even dislike Rob Thomson. But Doc Rivers, to me, is one of the most unlikable coaches in the last 10, 15 years in Philadelphia sports history. He's right up there with every guy the Flyers have ever brought in, right up there with Brett Brown, right up there with Chip Kelly, right up there with Joe Girardi. Doc Rivers is one of the most unlikable coaches in Philly, and he's got an excuse for everything. And last night, I turned the game on for the opening tip, and I was flipping between the game and the Phillies game, back and forth, but I was really zoning in on the Eagles because, the Phillies game had already started and gone on for a little bit, and the Phillies, and, I really wanted to pay attention against, this Bucks team. It's just, we're going to face the Bucks in the second round prior to the playoffs. I want to see the matchup, see how we're playing. And man, they came out flat, vanilla, unenergetic, unenthusiastic. They looked like they didn't feel like being there right from the opening jump. And we've got concerns, big concerns with the health of Joel Embiid, the health of James Harden. I get that. Well, if they're going to come out that flat and they're already concerned about injuries, then just don't play them. Like realistically, it's almost like I had this crazy thought last night that they were playing a vanilla preseason football type game against the Bucks because they knew that we're going to be facing this team most likely in the second round of the playoffs. Well, if you're going to do that and you've got these banged up players, then just don't play them. It was bad last night. It was just unenergetic, unathletic. Like the defense on Giannis was. I know Giannis is such a great player, and yes, it's Giannis. There's a G in his name. It's Giannis. the NCAA. I didn't watch any NCAA. I watched 2 minutes of the Final Four game just to see the FAU game to see if my bet FAU plus 2.5, which it did hit. It did hit. I hit both my bets on Saturday night, even though I know nothing about college basketball. FAU plus 2.5 and UConn money line both hit. Just so you know. But I watched none of that. The defense on Giannis, like, even though Giannis is a superstar, an MVP candidate, puts up big numbers against us, we at least fight and get up for the big game atmosphere of going up against him. There was no fight or energy. There was that one steal Tyrese Maxey had last night in the second half. It was a really good, snuck in the back door there and got that ball. That was really nice there. But this team just looked unenergetic, unathletic. I know Embiid had 28, 9, and 5 last night. Maxey shot really well, 29 from him. He was, 6 of 7 from deep. James Harden just didn't look like he wanted to be out there. He looked old and slow. And I know he's got an Achilles issue, James Harden. But, yeah. Mark, I don't know how much you watched of the game. But he just looked old and slow last night. Now, that could be the Achilles. And if it is the Achilles, then just don't play him. If it's sore, you don't want it to tear ultimately. So just give him a little bit of a break. Like, what good is playing him last night if he was sore? It was going to be a close. It was 50. Like, the chances of you winning last night with him sore or not playing were pretty much equally the same. I just don't. I'm not sure. Like, my question in the bio of this show is: are you confident about this team, or what's your confidence level of this team as we get set for the playoffs? And watching last night's game, I know they played really well against Toronto on Friday, but Toronto's a much different opponent than the Milwaukee Bucks. You don't have to even worry about possibly facing the Raptors in the playoffs. The Raptors might be one. The Raptors might not get out of the play-in round. I think they do. I think the Raptors do get out of the play-in round of the playoffs. I think the Raptors are a better team than they're given credit for, but they're not a championship quality team. The Bucks are. And last night you went out there as flat as possible. You showed the world that you're just not prepared. I mean, I'm looking at this box score from last night. Bryce Harper still looked sick or whatever was wrong with him. Paul Reed, he had moments of excellence again last night. And you played Dwayne Dedmon in the game last week because you wanted to get him minutes. And then last night in mop-up duty, you don't play him, you play Montrezl Harrell. So is Dedmon now in the rotation? Montrezl Harrell isn't? Like, I just don't – it's such a minor little thing. But those minor little things are why I think the way I do of Doc Rivers, that he has no clue what he's doing. He really doesn't. Like, Daniel House has been on fire lately and playing himself into a major role in this team. And he did not see the court till the fourth quarter. He played 9 minutes. He came in for a spark in the fourth quarter. It worked. He knocked down 2 threes right away. And then played the mop-up duty with Furkan and the guys in mop-up duty. Shake Milton didn't see the floor till mop-up duty last night. Like, that's fine. You want to say Shake Milton's not that great of a player? Whatever. That's great. That's fine. But have some consistency here. Like where's Daniel House's minutes? So here, this is an interesting question, Martin. Would I consider a second-round exit a heartbreak for our Sixers? I wouldn't consider it a heartbreak. I would consider it expected, if that's a fair answer. Because this Sixers team, I mean, I've talked about on the show, this is the first day this show's been on the Philadelphia Sports Network. But this show's been going on for 18 months now on a smaller, different network. But let me tell you something, Martin. I've been saying it. Or it's not Martin. It's Martian Lynch, 33. This story, this is not one of those books, Martian, where you open it up and at the end of the page it says, if you want this result, turn to this page. If you want to go see this happen, turn to this page. This is a regular book. We've read this book over and over again. And the end of the book, the same thing happens. And this Sixers team is no different than the team that keeps getting knocked out in the second round or earlier the last few years. They're still poorly coached. They're still poorly rotations. Their bench is still bad. James Harden and Joel Embiid, injuries still creeping up and being an issue at the end of the season. And not even just injuries, just soreness and beat upness. Like Joel Embiid, I don't think Joel Embiid is quote unquote injured. Yeah, and this is the second part of that thing. I think that if the Sixers lose in the second round or first round, which I think is highly likely, dude, I loved Choose Your Own Adventure books. They were my favorite. Absolutely my favorite, Mark. I had so many of them when I was a kid. I think if they lose in the second round, Martian, that not only is Doc gone, but you're going to see major upheaval on this team. They're going to have to. They're going to have to make major bold changes. I don't know what they are yet. I like that answer. I don't have expectations because I can't even get excited about this team till they get out of the second round. Yeah, I mean, and the MVP, it sounds important. Maybe. But I do believe Joel Embiid wants the title over the MVP. But he definitely is thinking about the MVP deep down inside. Look, this team, maybe this is a fair comparison, guys. This team needs to catch lightning in a bottle like the Phillies did to get to the World Series. They need to catch that lightning in a bottle just to get out of the second round. And then I still don't, even if you get out of the second round, that doesn't even mean you make to the finals. But here it is. Mark, you couldn't wait for this one, right? Jay Wright comes to Sixers. The rumor's been for 2 years, Mark, that there isn't a blank check waiting in the Sixers front office for Jay Wright. Whenever he wants to come to the Sixers, they will fire whoever's the coach, and here's a blank check to Jay Wright. I still don't know if Jay Wright's an NBA coach. I don't. Now, maybe him taking a year off from coaching, maybe he's been able to work on some things in his head, and maybe he's the right guy. Sam Cassell, obviously. I'm not worried about who the next coach is. But it's a serious question. It's a serious thought that if they don't get out of the second round, what happens? And really the point of this end of this show is not, to say they're not. It's like, how much confidence can you honestly have? I mean, when you talk about going up against the Bucks and you see who's coming off their bench, Bobby Portis, Jay Crowder. We talked about trying to get Jay Crowder for years here. They ran an 8-man rotation basically last night. Joe Ingles, dude. Is there Ingles, whatever his name is? Looks like a dude that would beat you at the YMCA in a game of pickup. Not a guy that's scoring and playing 20 minutes off the bench in an NBA game. But you got these guys, you got a well-rounded team there. You had 4 guys, starters, scoring double figures. You might have, guys that shoot, guys that play defense, guys that know their roles, well coached. You have that confirmed. You're my source that said that. Okay, that's right. Mark has a source. Yeah, he's very good. Some guys, once they become an analyst, you look at someone like Bill Cowher. Once he got to taste that analyst stuff, he's never left. The lifestyle. What would you rather just making numbers up? Make $5 million a year as a coach and the grind on your body, or make if you're famous, make $1 million a year and just be an analyst once or twice a week. I mean, being a studio analyst is like the easiest job in the world. And if you're good at it, that's great. But you can't have super confidence in this team. And what do we got? 4 games left in the season now? We got the Celtics Tuesday night. Big matchup again, just like this game against the Bucks. Big measuring stick matchup. If you're going to come out flat again Tuesday night, just sit the guys. What harm? I mean, you're probably going to lose anyway, so just sit them. Then you got the Nets and the Hawks. There's one other game in there I don't even know. The Tobias contract. Well, first off, you're never going to hear me say a negative thing about Tobias Harris. I'm a huge Tobias Harris fan. But guess what? Tobias Harris contract did put them in a hole. But it was an important thing because you couldn't let Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler walk and lose all of that at the same time. Maybe they should have, but they couldn't do that. I understand why they did it. But guess what? He's going into the last year of his contract. So guess what? Tobias Harris, after the season, is a tradable asset now. Teams love expiring contracts. Tobias Harris has an expiring contract next year. That's going to be one of the first. If this team loses in the second round or sooner, you count Doc Rivers out and Tobias Harris. So your first two things that are going to happen. Where, I don't know. Tobias Harris still is a good player on a good team. He's not a good enough player on a great championship team. That's it. He doesn't fit well with Joel Embiid and James Harden. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I mean, there's going to have to be some kind of massive overhaul of this team. But the fact that we have to have this conversation about an overhaul of a team, what are they? They've got 51 wins. There's 4 games left. They're in the 3 seed. They're going to the playoffs again. They've got an MVP candidate. They've got 2 MVP candidates. I know James Harden struggled the last couple of weeks because of the Achilles, but there was a point 2-3 weeks ago I was saying he should be considered a top 5 MVP candidate. That's how great of a season he's having. And yet, we're talking about will they lose in the first or second round of the playoffs? That tells me all I need to know about the confidence level of the fan base of the 76ers team. I mean, technically, like, what are they? 2 games up on the Cavaliers? 2.5 games up on the Cavaliers. 4 games left. There's still a chance that they fall to the 4 seed, hypothetically speaking. Probably not going to happen, but there's a chance. Guys, the Sixers team, it's frustrating because, the lightning in a bottle the Phillies caught last year to make that run to the World Series doesn't come around often. The Eagles didn't catch lightning in a bottle to get to the Super Bowl. The Eagles were just better than everybody else, and they just got beat by a better team. And maybe a better team. I don't even know. I think they were pretty damn equal there, the Eagles and the Chiefs. And it was just 1 or 2 calls went the wrong way. The Sixers the Sixers' only chance at getting to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Finals is catching lightning in a bottle and everything working out perfectly. Joel Embiid's got to play his best game every single game. So James Harden needs to all of a sudden. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Growing up. I'm glowing up? Well, there's a little this side right here. There's a little glow on my forehead there. That I bet you look at that receding hairline 18 months ago when I started trending the AM, that hairline wasn't that far back. Not at all. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Martian. They did. But it wasn't lightning in a bottle like the Phillies. The Sixers need literally to capture lightning in a bottle so badly to make a run. And Philly, Joe Castro. It looks like it's going to be Phillies Nets, the Sixers Nets, first round of the playoffs. We're going to have to come in here, have a little Sixers Nets battle. I know you're an Eagles guy, but you're a Nets guy. It's just what's with all these people that are fans of one Philly sports team? Tomorrow's guest on this show, Brian Cameron, lead Eagles writer for Philadelphia Sports Network, huge Eagles fan, great reporter, does great work covering the Eagles for PSN. But hold on, who is he a fan of? The Mets. He's a Mets fan. What the hell? I mean, where were these people? Joe Castro, he's an Eagles fan, but yet he's a Nets fan. What's going on? Yeah, exactly. I can't wait either. But look, they're going to have to catch so much lightning in a bottle to even have a chance. And that might not be – they might have the best performances. They'll cruise past Brooklyn. No offense, Joe. The Sixers will cruise past Brooklyn. But they're going to go up against Milwaukee in the second round. And last night proved that if Joe – well, we've seen them. What are they, 2-2 against the Bucks this year? If everything goes perfectly, they're just barely able to beat the Bucks on a given night. And in a 7-game series, only 3 of them at home, most of the time the Bucks are going to win that series. And you would have to have everything go extremely perfect. And that still might not be enough. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to wrap up Trending in the AM on Philadelphia Sports Network right there. First day, new home. Make sure you like and subscribe to the PSN YouTube page or whatever social media platform you're watching on. Turn notifications on. If you drop your comments while you're watching this on replay, I will get back to them all. And if you want to talk to me on Twitter, @BeardandKnowledge, I'd greatly appreciate it. I have lots of fun interacting with everybody on this show. Hopefully a few new listeners. Hopefully a few new followers. We'll see. This is an adventure. I go live every morning, 8:30 a.m. And now we're on our new home here, PSN. I also do a fantasy and gambling golf show, just to plug myself here, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. That'll also be right here on PSN. So 9 p.m. Tuesdays, it's Masters Week. I got my Masters green jacket sitting right here, ready to go on Tuesday night. Cannot wait. My man Jason Sullivan will be joining me to talk Masters. What else we got here? Adam, thank you very much. You've been one of my biggest supporters since day one. Same to Mark and Kyle. I greatly appreciate your support tonight, guys. The new people coming in the show today, comment-wise, thank you very much. Hey, everybody have a great day. It's beautiful. For PSN, for Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stifle @BeardandKnowledge. We'll see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. And I guess since it's Philly season, it's ring that bell.